All right, you want to hear my toxic trait? All right, everybody's talking about toxic traits. Here's my toxic trait. I absolutely refuse to get a haircut. I don't know why. My hair looks terrible. I have a perfectly good head of hair. I'm never gonna go bald, and and I wear hats as if I am bald. I just completely. I don't know why. Somebody remind me tomorrow. Hey Pierce, you need to get a haircut. Somebody needs to remind me. I just refuse to do it. I refuse to do it. Silly. Welcome back to another Detroit Pierce podcast. Long hair, don't care. Detroit Pierce podcast. A lot to talk about. Tigers this week, a little bit frustrating. NBA draft this week. European minute. We've got NBA finals. We got NHL Stanley Cup. We've got golf. We've got College World Series. We've got a packed show with a lot to talk about. But let's talk about the most important thing out of everything happening in the world. Detroit Tigers baseball. Riley Greene is now here in Detroit. And since he has joined the team, we're 2-0. I think the season starts today. I think the season started 2 days ago, honestly, with Riley Greene. It's interesting because at the beginning, last week's episode, I'm starting to do this thing where I go through the week and I'm thinking, okay, if we have a good week, this is what it would look like. Last week, I said that if we had a good week, we'd win two out of three against the Chicago White Sox, and we win three out of four against the Rangers. We may or may not have had the most embarrassing series against the Chicago White Sox, but with Riley Greene, we kind of got it back. We got it back. We go in 2 games against the Rangers. I have a little bit of hope. The pitching doesn't look terrible. We're starting to figure out the hitting. It felt like we were changing our approach at the plate, and by change approach, just hit bombs. Who cares? At least you did something, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's just quite interesting. I'm glad they won the last 2 games. It gets you going. Now you have this long road trip, and it gets you going in the right direction. With Riley Greene being here, I think it helps a lot. I think it adds a nice little left-handed bat. I think this year you're not going to make the playoffs. Gets him a little bit of experience. Him and Torkelson working together. The future is bright. And Javi Baez, too. I mean, you have Javi Baez for the next 5 years. He's the future, too. I think as though, what the heck? Why not? Let's get hot right now. Let's just figure out a way to get to 500. Let's just figure out a way to get to 500. But this week is going to be a tough week. Going to Boston in a 3-game series, and then they're coming here to the great city of Phoenix, Arizona. I've got tickets for all 3 games. I'm super excited. But look, a good week. Let's just call it like it is. A good week is if you win 1 game in Boston. You win a game in Boston, and you win 2 out of 3 against the Phoenix. I always want to call them the Phoenix Diamondbacks, the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's a good week. Boston's really good. If you just get 1 win in Boston, I'll consider it a success. And if you can win the series in Arizona, it's a damn good week, and I would take it right now. No doubt about it. Arizona's been good. They've been hot. They beat the Twins 2 out of 3. That's a good series. They're tough. They're a tough, young, scrappy team. Obviously, I go to a lot of their games, so I know I have the scouting report on them. Tough team. It's gonna be hard. But I think you can do it. So how it's looking is that Scooble's going to pitch on Wednesday, and then the Tigers are going to fly here to Arizona. I have never looked at rain so hard in my life because I'm just hoping 1 game gets postponed. 1 game so I can see Scooble in person. So if you're listening to this, please root for rain. For 1 day, 1 rain game. That's all I need. All right, going on to the NBA draft, which is this Thursday, which I will not be able to watch because I'll be at the Tiger. Well, maybe I'll watch the first couple. No, I'll make it. Yeah, it's not going to be on Thursday. Tigers are on Friday. My schedule is all over the place. Coming up on Thursday night, Pistons have the 5th pick. This is what I think this is my mock draft for the first 5 picks. I think Jabari Smith is going to be the number 1 pick, and I think he is the 3rd best. I think, in my opinion, he's the 3rd best player in this draft, but I think he goes number 1. That's kind of been the consensus. All of the drafts that I've seen, all the draft predictions, has the mock draft in these kind of 3 sections. The first 3, the next 2, and then everybody else. And I think Jabari Smith is the consensus number 1 pick, and everybody's picking it. Number 2, Chet Holmgren. He's going to go to OKC. He's going to be an absolute flop, which sucks for him and sucks for OKC. And then Houston gets, I think, the best player in the draft. I think Paolo Banchero, or Banchero, however you want to say it. I think he's the best player by a lot. I think he's going to be able to take Houston back to the playoffs in a couple of years. I think he's an absolute dynamite player. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So this is where it gets kind of iffy, right? The Pistons and the Kings. What are the Kings going to do? And for me, I think the second best player is still on the board at this point. Jaden Ivey is the second best player. I think Jaden Ivey, working with Cade Cunningham, is just, it's magical. It's going to be absolutely magical. I think Keegan Murray goes to the Kings, and I think Jaden Ivey goes to the Pistons. Would I be upset with Keegan Murray? No. I think he can spread the floor. I think he can open up the lanes for Cade Cunningham. I think he can make some things happen. I think he's a good shooter, but I don't think he's a perennial Hall of Famer. I think he's a couple-time All-Star. I think Jaden Ivey has the potential to become a Hall of Famer and to be absolutely a game-changing player and a franchise-altering player. I just think that's who I want. That's who I think is going to go to the Pistons, and that's, be an absolute dream. I'm not sold on Sharp. I haven't seen much of him, obviously. I'm just not sold on him. Mathurin, who's out of Arizona, I've seen a lot of Mathurin. He's a good, solid player. I just don't think he's at that level of Murray or Ivy, especially not Ivy. And I don't hate Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin. If they were to get Johnny Davis, if they had the 8th pick, I would love Johnny Davis at that position. I just don't love him at 5. I think Jaden Ivey is just a good, smart player. I think he can score from a lot of different positions. I think he can defend 3 or 4 different positions. And I think that with him and Cade, I think that's going to work. I just like where that's going. And especially with Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey, Ivy, and Cunningham, damn. It's a good team. And DeAndre Ayton. Maybe. Not really. But that's who I think the Pistons get in that 5th slot. But then in the 46th slot, which they get later on, it's hard to predict that. But here's just some guys that I've got circled on my wish list. I like Scottie Pippen Jr., point guard out of Vandy. I like him. I know he's been hurt, but I think he can be a good, solid bench player. I like Gabe Brown. I think he can be a good, solid defensive bench player. Ron Harper Jr., I think he can. I think he's just a good, solid shooter off the bench. And I think Max Christie, a good ball handling point guard. I think he wasn't very well utilized at Michigan State, but I think he still has top 10. He was a top 10 prospect. He was a top 10 athlete coming out of high school. I think having that off the bench could be good. The problem is you have Killian Hayes, so I think that kind of, and then with Jaden Ivey, you have 4 point guards right there. So maybe that's not the best pick. I know I said Scottie Pippen, that's how I started it, but I like it. I like Scottie Pippen and I like Christie, but I think my number 1 would probably be Ron Harper Jr. if he can fall that far. All right, enough about Detroit sports. Let's get into my favorite portion, European Minute, and let's start now. F1 was in Canada. Oh, Pierce, it's not a European Minute because they're in Canada. Screw you. You understand the bit. F1 in Canada, Max is just too good. Max is just too strong, and I feel bad for Checo not being able to have a car get all the way to the end. Just a couple of reliability issues. I feel bad for Carlos Sainz. I wanted him to win really, really badly. That would have been so great. Just couldn't get past Max because he's just too damn good. Look out for Mercedes. If they can figure out how to stop a car from bouncing, they could be there at the end. I don't think they can win the Constructors, but I think they can make some noise towards the end. Good to see, as much as I don't like Lewis Hamilton because I think he's cocky, good to see him on the freaking podium. And I'm a big Lando Norris fan. If we could just get Lando out of McLaren and into a Mercedes seat, into any Red Bull, any other seat, I would take it. I just get Lando out of McLaren. They've wasted him. They've wasted his talent. Wasted. And that's been your European Minute. Wasted it. I just get really upset. Okay, guys? None of my teams are good. None of the guys I root for are good. It's just all kind of whatever. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be negative. I had a friend tell me. I had a friend who listens to the podcast. And he said, look, you're too negative. All right? I'm working on it. All right? It's hard to be positive when you have a bunch of crap going on that's really sad and hurtful. NBA Finals. Steph gets his ring, finally. Finally, Steph Curry. It's the Warriors team. Finally, Steph Curry makes the Warriors his team. He puts the Warriors on his back and gets that NBA Finals trophy. It was cool to see him win. Yes, this is their fourth, for sure, 100%. Rather see them win than Boston by a million miles. But cool to see him win. They've gone through a lot in the last 2 years. Cool to see them go to the mountaintop, come all the way back down, and then get all the way back. It's really cool to see. I'm happy for him. The thing is that I don't know why people doubted the Warriors for all of that time. I mean, they still are the Warriors. I mean, Curry's the greatest shooter of all time. This is easily one of the best dynasties of all time when you take into account with salary cap. And they're all going to be back next year except for Wiggins, which you can pretty much replace with Poole or get somebody in the draft. They just keep reloading. Now, what are they going to do with Clay when he's up, when his contract's up after next year? That's a future them problem. They'll figure that out later. But for right now, damn, they're really freaking good. They are really freaking. They changed the game of basketball. You gotta love that. Happy for them. Boston, you need another one. You just need another player, it feels like. I mean, Brown, Horford is old. Tatum, it's hard to get back. As a guy who roots for the Suns, it's hard to get back. Then, on to the NHL playoffs, which I've watched pretty much every game. Shocking. Colorado wins 7-0 in Game 2. If you were now looking at that and saying, oh, the Avs are just going to blow away and just blow them out and just win this in 5, you don't know Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. You just don't. You just have no understanding. This series is not over. If I could bet on this series going 6 or more games, I would hammer that bet right here, right now. No way. I love the Lightning coming back. I might bet on them to win the Stanley Cup. I might do that right after this podcast. I love them. Oh, they're down 2-0. They got it. Relax. They can do it. If anybody can do it, they can do it. Today, U.S. Open. Matthew Fitzpatrick wins. Just made putt after putt, it felt like. I feel bad for Willie Zalatoris. It's a tough putt. It's a tough putt to hit. It's a very tough putt to hit on that last. But I'm glad for Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's a heck of a golfer. I wish he would take the pin out when he putts. But hey, if it works, it works, I guess. You just look like a loser. Happy for his caddy. His caddy, Billy Foster's been caddying for 40 years. 40 years he's been caddying, and he gets his first major. I'm so happy for him. I was really hoping Will Zalatoris would make that putt so we could go into a playoff. Kind of give everybody an excuse not to work tomorrow. But I digress. Speaking about Will Zalatoris, if I was him or if I was his dad or if I was his best friend, I would sit Will down and say, look, every single dollar you just won at the U.S. Open, what I want you to do is I want you to pay somebody, a putting coach, a hitting coach, a therapist, anybody, and fix your freaking putting stroke. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Your putting stroke should be a straight line. His is an S. I don't know. I don't understand how he does. I don't understand how he's a professional golfer. I don't understand how he has how many top 10 finishes in majors. I don't get it. His putting stroke is an S. He hits putts with the tip of his putter. It's unbelievable watching him. He looks like me out there with his putter. I mean, that's a stroke that I have. I don't know how he doesn't. I really don't. Then, finally, College World Series in Omaha. I'm the only one that pays attention to it. I get it. 30, all you need to know, this is kind of like a past number that you probably don't even care about because this has already happened. The first game is the most important game of the College World Series. 36 out of the last 40, 36 have won the first game. 36. It's so hard to come all the way back because it's double elimination. It's so hard to come all the way back. Texas had to find that out the hard way by getting eliminated today by Texas A&M. Oklahoma and Notre Dame are playing right now to see who's going to move on to the and stay in the winner's bracket. If I had to predict, this is going to be really funny. I think Oklahoma's going to beat Notre Dame. I think the game's happening right now. I have no idea what the score is. I would take Oklahoma over Notre Dame. And on the other side of the bracket, Ole Miss and Arkansas won their games. I like Arkansas. I think they have a lot of firepower, and I think they've got so much talent on that it's hard. It's hard not to like them, and I think they have the best coach in college baseball with Dave Van Horn, and I think Arkansas beats Oklahoma in the championship. Now that I say it, it's probably going to be like Ole Miss and Notre Dame, but I digress. Watch it. Game's never over. The game is never over. It is a ton of fun to watch and to drink at, I would know. Okay, final thoughts. I know I kind of breezed through a lot. There's a lot going on. I try to keep these podcasts as short as I possibly can. Just give you all your information at once, just as fast as I can. Final thoughts. Tigers are here in Arizona. They are here in my home city. They're in Phoenix. It's hot. If you're coming into town, drink water, okay? Number one tip, get Liquid IV. It works, okay? Tip number one, second thing, got a lot of fun. I'm going to try to do a vlog. We got all 3 games I'm going to be at. I'm going to try to sit on the Tiger side. Let me know if you're here. I'd love to sit with anybody and talk Tigers baseball. Once the game starts, don't talk to me. I'm trying to watch the game. But very excited. I'm very, very excited to watch the Tigers in person. It's super exciting. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep this week. That's how excited I am. Happy Father's Day. Dad, if you're listening, you're the best. Thank you for always supporting me. You're a true inspiration to me. Thank you so much. God bless. Go to Troy Sports.